Today I'll show you guys how to firmware update for Lumix GH6. What's up everyone, it's your boy Tad here from San Diego, California. Today, another episode, Take Talk with Tad. Today I'll show you guys how to firmware update for Lumix GH6. This is applicable for any kind of video camera or photo camera firmware update, but there will be slightly different. The basic principle is the same. Stay tuned. The first things we need to do is getting the program, downloading the software or the firmware. The next thing is make sure the equipment is ready, fully charged up to do the firmware update. Lastly is starting updating it. So we'll be doing the firmware update for the legs as well as the body. Stay tuned. So first things first, we Google the Panasonic website. I'll have the description or the link for where you could find the software. So this is GH6 and I want to download the firmware for this camera and then the lens. So first things first, we need to download the firmware, the updated firmware. I don't have it bookmark, so it's gonna take a little bit longer from the average time, but we'll navigate it together. Game lens. Those are accessory. February 22. Okay, you see this is the promo code going out. Alright, let me read more. Most likely it's going to be somewhere inside here. So this is the recent release, just FYI. Recently come out. Now, it's about a year now. Yeah, February. Time fly. So this is, we also want to know what is the body serial number, as well as the lanes. So ES12, so this is the lanes. And this is the firmware. Sorry, it kind of took a little longer than the normal. When I say normal, I sound like I do it all the time, but that's not true. I just have a bookmark most of the time. So this recent release, firmware release, was on September 27th. So we download the firmware. There is a few description to keep in mind. Make sure your battery is charged. Make sure you're not turning on and off. Otherwise, you interrupt the firmware update. Interrupting the firmware update means you are losing a couple of things, and you are interrupting the firmware update. So make sure fully charged and the memory card is also wiped out. No other program in it. That way you are not putting yourself in the possibility of mistakes. So probably might take about 10 minutes. Just keep that in mind. That is the other reason you don't want to. That is the one of the reason you want to make sure the battery is fully charged. End up taking a little longer. So this is the body. Download it, and you accept all the terms and condition, and then the GH6 V22 zipped is downloading. While we are at it, let me download the lens firmware. I don't want to mix that with the other product. I'm gonna close this. So the lanes are here, which is here. Okay, my lane says ES1206 ES12. So this is the standard lens, which is this one. If you remember what I said earlier, the firmware is, we have currently 1.2, but the recent update is lens firmware is actually up to date. The only things we need is the body. So this was updated in March, so no update for the firmware. This is one of the things you kind of encountered when you are actually looking into it. The next things to do is format the lens, format the memory card, which you're gonna see it here, formatting it. Nope. So we already done with this part. Going to probably stop it. I'll go here. There's nothing in here. Yeah, double click it. This is the file, and then I'm gonna open where the file should be, but for now I'll just throw it in. Copy. I'll just paste it here. It's about 394 megabyte. So it's copying currently. Yeah, hoping it's actually it's a pretty fast file copy. I'm hoping this firmware update is not gonna create any unnecessary weird situation. I just don't know. The file is unzip or zipped itself, but it doesn't say much about it. So I reject it. I'm gonna take this out, put it here, Well, this is a moment of truth. What's going on? So, we already downloaded the software, and now we are actually gonna start the firmware update. I'm a little bit scared. For some reason, it doesn't detect the firmware yet. There we go. Now it looks like a little bit active, so I just had to restart it. So first things, just before I say yes, let me show you what I did. So once I put the firmware on the SD card, I come here, go back, no. So it's actually gone again. So once I add the firmware, I come here, it's not active, I go there, there's no any file, but just turn it off and turn it back on and go to the menu, firmware, voila, it's right there. And then you select that and quickly it's gonna check that file. Now earlier I showed you guys what the firmware is. It was 1.0. Now we have 2.1 firmware, and we said yes, we have the battery and everything is there, and we said yes. So this is what the firmware update starting and how the firmware is. It looks like it's not going to take that long. Initially the program or the manufacturer says it's going to take about, I don't know, like 15 minutes, 15 to 35 minutes, the whole process, but so far looks like it's going pretty fast. I'm not gonna touch anything, I'm not gonna move anything. So the way I am recording it is using my cell phone, and I'm recording it from here. That is why all the movement is currently going on. Yeah, stay tuned. I'll start recording again once the progress is further. The camera just finished and it just stopped for a quick second, but it is start another update. I'm assuming, I don't know if you guys remember, we have two files we added, so I'm assuming the first file is installed and now it's starting the second one. That might be the case. Even that, I don't think it's that long. Maybe because I have dealt with 2-hour, 3-hour firmware update. Anyways, well, it actually done. Let me go back. Firmware. Voila. 2. Let me show you this camera. So now it is 2.2.